Hiya! Whisper here. I'm back from Sims, the eternal hell that is simulations. And I'm here for a little crash course on a single target. There will be a dungeon one eventually, a Mythic Plus one. But, you know, I only got so many hours in a day. Hopefully I'll try and get through this quickly. I have notes prepared, so hopefully I'm less rambly than usual. And we'll go through it in order from like the stuff that you really need to know to some min-maxy stuff. Talk about some stats and all that. And we'll go from there. So let's do it. So getting into game, first thing you'll see is this is our preferred single target talents for 10-2. That's what it's looking like right now. Kingsbane here is a big one, and we play around Kingsbane significantly, especially with Shadow Dance and Night Stalker. So Night Stalker here is a very core part of our burst gameplay because it's snapshots. What does that mean? It means that if I were to cast a Garrote during stealth, right? If I walk up here, cast Garrote during stealth, this entire Garrote, even out of stealth, is still empowered by Night Stalker. The 10% is still active. And that works on all dots, so Garrote, it works on Rupture, it works on Kingsbane, everything, right? So putting stuff into Shadow Dance, such as Kingsbane, increases their damage for the entire duration by 10% because of Night Stalker. That's why we want to put things in Shadow Dance. Honorable mention here is also Subterfuge. This is a DPS talent in the top half of the tree because of this interaction. This allows us not only to get off an improved ambush, right? Because of the 3-second window now, but it also allows us to get Night Stalker onto that ambush. It allows us to get 2 extra seconds of Night Stalker in case we want to Rupture as well, or in case we get an Envenom off, right? So extending Night Stalker for 2 extra seconds, getting an extra ambush. It's a minor increase, but it is an increase when everything else here is utility. On top of that, we play into Kingsbane ridiculously hard. So you want to have Shiv up the entire time, right? Shiv is important because it increases nature damage through improved Shiv. And you also want to have Envenom. Right now this is a macro, but you want to have Envenom up the entire time as well because the lethal poisons applied to a target while they are affected by Kingsbane increase the Kingsbane damage by 20%. So as many poisons as possible, full Shiv up time. You also want it during Shadow Dance because of Night Stalker. The last piece of the puzzle is our good old friend Trinkets. Ashes of the Embersoul here is a very good trinket. When you use it, it gives you agility for 20 seconds, but it decays. So there is an optimal time to use this. The optimal time being 11 seconds remaining on Kingsbane. That's just how the math worked out. Yeah. So I'm going to go over a burst rotation really quickly. There is a tracker here that I'm hovering. The number on the bottom will show you how many combo points I use in case you want to keep track of that. And hopefully I don't mess it up. But, you know, there's a good chance there is. It's a little bit of a piano opener. But let's do it. So you're going to come out, get your bleeds up, slice and dice up, get Envenom up, and then go into your burst rotation. That's generally the flow of it. Get up all your maintenance, go into your burst, right? Let's do it. Get up Slice and Dice, and then get a Rupture up, and then I want to get up an Envenom, and then we're going into cooldowns here. Refresh the Envenom. Trinket. It's a little bit late on the Trinket, but that's okay. And then we want to make sure that with 3 seconds left, we're going to Vanish for Master Assassin. Now, Master Assassin is a little bit hit or miss. We're in our just general rotation now. But that is the burst. Now, the thing about Master Assassin, you can play this. It is technically very good, but it does feel a little awkward. And you would always want to Vanish for the last 3 seconds of Kingsbane, because those are the hardest hitting ticks of Kingsbane, right? In that time, though, Vanish is 3 seconds long because of Improved Garrote being 3 seconds, Master Assassin being 3 seconds, Subterfuge increasing Night Stalker to a duration of 3 seconds. So you have a 3-second window when you Vanish. And not only does that increase your crit onto your Kingsbane, but you also want to make sure that you're getting good casts in. So what does that mean? Typically, you'd want to refresh your Garrote, get an Envenom off, or a Rupture. So if you have the opportunity to finish inside of your Vanish window, your 3-second window, you want to Envenom or you want to Rupture. Both are fine. Rupture is slightly better, but if you need the uptime on Envenom, you would want to Envenom. In general, I think in case of the burst and how just you want to get as much damage in as possible in your burst window, since we are a burst spec, I would personally recommend Envenom for a little bit of a loss, but it's more upfront damage, and you can maintain your Envenom uptime easier that way. But in theory, you could use a Rupture and get a little bit more damage out in the long term. So, with that out of the way, there's some other questions that I've gotten regarding a lot of this stuff. So Thistle Tea, it is a mastery increase. Mastery in 10.2 is a very good stat, but we don't use this for the mastery. We still use this for energy. So the first one at 3 stacks is during your cooldowns. When you're at 3 and you're capped, you want to use it just to get it on cooldown. Everything after that, you're using it to get 100 energy back. You don't want to overcap. If you can line this up with your cooldowns, that's great. But your cooldowns are every minute, and Thistle Tea is every minute, so you'll not be working down the charges that you have, right? So as long as you're using this for energy, you're good to go. 100 energy, don't overcap, good. Don't play around the mastery. The mastery is a bonus. The other thing I want to talk about, Blindside. How do you play around Blindside now that it's replaced? Couple of problems with Blindside. First problem is the Blindside that you get on your Mutilate is not the right ambush. So the ambush from Stealth is correct right now. It's not bugged, but the ambush, if it replaces your Mutilate, is bugged. That'll get fixed, no worries on that. So let's just pretend for right now that it's fixed and that they're both the same ambush. In that case, what you want to do is you actually want to get rid of this, and I would suggest simply putting ambush where your Mutilate button is on your stealth button. Right? So in stealth, in your stealth bar, put ambush on the same key, put Mutilate on the same key outside of your stealth bar, and you just saved a button. Don't have to think about it. In every situation where you want to Mutilate, you would ambush instead. There is one caveat, which Blizzard is aware of, and they said they're looking into, which is Caustic Spatter. Part of the problem of Caustic Spatter is, if I just quickly get Rupture up. So now I've Caustic Spatter going, right? If I were to go into Dance right now, well, I'm just casting Ambush. And if I get a Blindside proc, well, I'm not refreshing Caustic Spatter, right? So there's situations where your Caustic Spatter will drop because of Blindside and because of all the ambush stuff. I'm hoping that they just add ambush to Caustic Spatter, but we don't know, right? There's a good chance that it will, so I'm not going to worry about it too much and just move on. Going into the advanced stuff, though, this is where we start to have a lot of min-maxy stuff. We're going to talk about pooling. Pooling is a lot of importance in Mythic Plus, a little bit of importance in single target. It's still between like 2%, 1.5%, 2%ish in single target. In Mythic Plus with Sanguine Blades, it is a lot higher. So we need to understand what pooling is. If you haven't seen my intermediate videos, intermediate terms video, that's one of my earlier videos on the channel. You can go back and watch that. That'll explain pooling. But just really quick, pooling is the act of saving your combo points, saving your energy for a better point in time, right? You don't want to be spamming out Envenoms if you're just going to waste the uptime. So there's two ways to do this. You can either do what's called pooling on Envenom or pooling on a generator. Now, the difference between the two is, let's say, for example, I'm just going to get myself low here. So let's say I have Envenom up. Now, I could pool on generator, which would be me sitting here waiting till I have energy and then generating, right? So I would wait, and now I'm like, okay, well, now I'm high on energy, so now I'm going to generate. And then I would finish, and then I would wait on my generator again, right? So here I would use the free one, and now I'm waiting again. And I would generate, finish, and then wait to generate again. This is bad. This is bad pooling. Don't do that. The correct way is to pool on Envenom. So what that means is you throw everything out of the window for Envenom. So Envenom's up, you're generating, doesn't matter. And now you pool. Now you wait. Then you Envenom, and now you're on your generators, you're building back up to 5, you Envenom. And you generate again, you're waiting, Envenom. Right? This motion of getting back up to 5 and then waiting is much, much more efficient than trying to wait on your generators instead. So the times when you don't want to pool now become important, right? Because you don't want to always be sitting there casting nothing. When do you not pool? You don't pool during any cooldowns. So Shiv, Deathmark, Kingsbane, Shadow Dance, none of that. If you're in those cooldowns, you are spamming away. All the energy you can get rid of, that's the point of high damage. That's what you're pooling for, so you're going to spend your energy during those windows. You're also going to do it if you have high Thistle Tea charges. So if you have 2 or more charges, you want to be burning those charges. You want to be getting the energy out and using Thistle Tea. So you're going to want to spam and then use those Thistle Tea charges, use them up, and then start pooling. The other thing, which you might have seen on my energy bar, is above 80% energy. So you'll see here that I'm just pooling, right? And once my energy bar gets to above 80%, there's the green, and I'm good to go, right? The last thing with the tier bonus and generally playing around Envenom, you want to be doing an Envenom chain. So in practice, what ends up happening, I'm just gonna get my stuff up real quick. What ends up happening in practice is you'll start a chain of Envenoms. So you'll get your first Envenom up, right, at high energy here, and then you're gonna generate. And so now once Envenom gets low, you're gonna Envenom, get your Rupture up, and now you can actually get this Envenom off. My Blindside procced again, this is great stuff. Get the Envenom off, refresh my Garrote. Now I'm waiting again. Maximizing my Envenom uptime. I generate, I wait. Maximize the uptime. Here I refresh my Garrote, and I'm maximizing my uptime. Refresh the Rupture. Maximize the uptime. And so you want to be chaining your Envenoms together like this, right? Now eventually, you'll see that I'm sort of running out of energy slowly. If I'm not using T, I'm gonna run out, right? My energy's slowly going down. So what happens in the situation where your energy goes down? Well, in the situation where you run out of energy, let's say we get to this situation, your Envenom drops, you wait. You want to reset and go again, right? You want to make the next chain happen so that you can abuse your tier set. So here we waited until we're back up to 80%, and now we're going to chain again. We're going to start the next chain. So we're going to go through, maximize our uptime, we're going to sit on it, wait, going to go through again, Blindside procced. You don't want to ever overcap your resources, so if Blindside is chain proccing, you just want to send in Envenom, right? Pooling is not overcapping, it's just waiting to use your energy at a better time. We're still maximizing, still maximizing. And you just do this, right? You just keep going. Over and over and over. You just make this Envenom chain. Now, your cooldowns will break that up, that sequence, but in general, that's sort of the rotation, and that's how I would practice it. And speaking of practice, I did a little thing. You're welcome. I have a weak aura. I'm gonna link it down below. It's not a rotation helper, so don't get too upset or try and use it as such. But it is a pooling practice tool. So this icon here will tell you why you're not pooling most of the time, and it'll tell you when to pool. So right now I don't have Garrote up. Let's get Garrote up. I don't have Rupture up, and now I'm capped on Thistle Tea charges. So let's dump energy and get rid of our Thistle Tea charges, right? So I can get rid of that. Cool, fantastic stuff. I'm still above 2, so it still wants me to throw energy out. So let's use that second one. So now I need to Mutilate to get combo points. All right, now that I have combo points, it wants me to wait. And now, tier set. So we're gonna generate combo points again. Get the Garrote up again. Tier set, bang. Generate. Perfect, we wait. Tier set. Generate. Get the Rupture back up. Generate. Tier set. Okay, that one was close. So we're running out of energy slowly. But our blindside's proccing, so it's a good thing. Tier set. Mutilate. Get the combo points up. We wait. Tier set. Get the combo points back up. Tier set. Right? So now the T's up the second charge, so you can again go through that process. Now this weak aura will be linked in the description if you want to practice your pooling, and it has all the conditions that the sim uses. So, if you're capped on amplifying poison stacks, you should be using an Envenom. It tracks that. It also tracks your energy for the 80% rule, your combo points for Mutilate, all of the cooldowns. So if you press Death Mark, it'll tell you to go. If you press Kingsbane, it'll tell you to go. My energy bar does something very similar. So if you're trying to do something on your weak auras, or you're looking at my weak aura package for 10.2, which is an edited version of Affinar's, my energy bar does something very similar. But I think it's more playable. Like, as a human, some of the conditions are really, really weird, and they're a little bit finicky to play around. So the conditions for a human are prioritize your bleeds, chain the Envenoms together, and then once you can't comfortably chain, you reset and go again. So I just have it on my cooldowns. So if I press my cooldowns, I know, hey, wake up, it's go time. And otherwise, I'm just waiting for 80%, right? I'm just waiting for that 80% energy. And I'm just chaining Envenoms at that point. And that's your little guide. It took like 18 minutes, but that's basically all you need to know to play Assassination in 10.2 in single target. Now, I'm gonna go over some sims and a little bit of gear, some stat stuff. We'll talk about some choices that you can make if you don't like one or the other option, and we'll go from there. So, let me pull that up real quick. Hiya! So, this is our current best in slot single target. This is best knowledge, what we have right now. Double Mega Dungeon Daggers from the Vault, Ashes, and the Signet brand. These are both from Smolderon in the raid. And then a couple, just rings. We do want to play double Blue Silk Lining because the Toxic Boots got nerfed. A bunch of embellishments got nerfed. So Blue Silk and Lining is our best embellishment now. It gives mastery while you're above a certain health percentage. And it's just tier set and random items. Doesn't really matter what they are. And the reason for that is because our stats are so close together. But I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Let's talk about talents first and go back to the gear later. So talent-wise, again, this is our talent combination. This is Shadow Dance. It's just a broken icon. So take a look at it, internalize it. Again, Master Assassin for Vanish, Kingsbane, big. Shadow Dance for Night Stalker. Subterfuge is a DPS cooldown. Thistle Tea for energy. All that fun stuff. Alright, so let's talk about some changes you can make, right? So on this is the Spec tree only. So on the Spec tree, you'll see that Internal Bleeding and Improved Poisons are the weak links here, and they'll be the first to go. Sense of Blood here is showing a pretty good single target performance. Doomblade as well. So if you're in a cleave situation where you might be rupturing more targets, Sense of Blood might actually be the go over something like Internal Bleeding or Improved Poisons. I would probably drop Improved Poisons and keep the Internal Bleeding if I'm rupturing more. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. Tiny Toxic Blade is also showing up as an option, but all of these are passive and don't really do anything. So I wouldn't really swap this out for any reason. Coming down here, you'll see Zoldyck is the next one to go, the next domino to fall, right? It's all pretty self-explanatory, I would say. Like, it's just replacing the weakest talents with the next strongest. So you'll see here, Bone Spike is 1.2% worse. And you would drop a point of Zoldyck and a point in Internal Bleeding, or you would drop Shrouded. Both of those options, no good. That's why it's a downgrade. Sanguine Blades comes in a little bit lower, as does Twist the Knife. Twist the Knife, being 1.3%, is still a pretty strong showing. If you're really bad at pooling, Twist the Knife is, in my opinion, a pretty good option. It basically puts you right back up to 100% Venom uptime without much effort. So if you're looking for an easy option, Twist the Knife, definitely good. 1.3% if you're just doing heroic rating, or if you're doing low mythic rating, perfectly fine. You can take that loss just for the ease of gameplay. No problem. I'm looking for Sanguine in here somewhere, but Doomblade really scares me because they all look the same. So here's Sanguine. This one's 1.5%, but I'm pretty sure it's higher somewhere. Sanguine! So there's one Sanguine. Is there higher? Doomblade, Doomblade. Doomblade, Doomblade. Can we get a new icon, please? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so Sanguine Blades. Really strong showing, 0.8, right? 0.8% worse. If you're doing something with Crimson Tempest and you're AoEing, this would be really good. In single target, not that great. Also makes pooling a lot more difficult. I wouldn't play it in single target. However, the option is there, and you might see some cheese with it. For example, if a boss takes 100% increased damage during a phase, think like the first boss, Gnarlroot. After the intermission, he takes 100% increased damage. You can use Sanguine Blades to get a little bit of extra damage in that window. Might be worth, but it's mostly a cheese thing and a Mythic Plus thing. I wouldn't worry about it. Moving over to the class tree, let's talk about some stuff here as well. So Improved Ambush is better. Oops. Improved Ambush here is better. You'll see Tight Spender, 0.2%, right? But the most pressing thing, Acro, right? Acrobatics, Acrobatic Strikes. Everyone wants this goddamn talent. So if you want to take this, it is about a 2% loss. You would drop T and grab Echoing Reprimand. It would make you a lot slower, and Vigor would definitely hamper your pooling because of the maximum energy going down. But play around with it, see if you like it. Cold Blood is also making an appearance here, but you would just macro it into, like, Envenom, so there's no real point in this, in my opinion. It's just as passive as all the other options. That's actually the macro that I have down here, would be the Cold Blood macro. So I don't play Cold Blood. I just don't. Yeah, so Acro, you'd have to play Echoing Reprimand, 2% loss. The next thing, if you don't like the snapshotting and Shadow Dance stuff, that would be here. It'd be about 3% loss. So you would drop Shadow Dance, again take Acro, Echoing Reprimand, Resounding Clarity, swap back into Tight Spender. Play the more traditional Echoing Reprimand build. You'd get Acro out of it, but Shadow Dance being a 3% loss is pretty high. I would suggest that you try and at least figure it out, see if you can play it. If you can't get your head around it, if it's just not in your fingers and you're not able to pull it off, I would definitely suggest dropping Dance for it. This 3% loss isn't the worst thing in the world, especially if you're playing it poorly. However, I think in the high-end Mythic rating scene, as well as just general Mythic rating, if you look at like Warcraft log statistics, you will be seeing Shadow Dance everywhere. So, definitely something to get used to. The last thing, if it's too many buttons, I've had this complaint before, the build is too many buttons. What do? If the build's too many buttons, you would play 2 Lethality, 1 Vigor, and drop the Thistletea. This would get rid of Thistletea as a button. You'd still have to play Shadow Dance, but with Ambush being on Mutilates, like the blindside change on Mutilates, and removing Thistletea, you'd be down a button compared to before, right? So this would be the option if you don't have keybinds, if you need your keybinds for something else, if you're just casually running around, you don't want to think about too many keybinds, this would be that option, right? I think personally, I would recommend if you're trying to be like easier about it, you'd still go to the Shadow Dance, which is very close, right? You'd drop Shadow Dance because this is still playing Shadow Dance, it's still snapshotting, still has that difficulty of snapshotting your Kingsbane and getting that sequence down. So this would technically be the easy option in my opinion, whereas this is not an easy option, quote unquote, but it does remove a button. The last thing here is a quick damage breakdown that I want to show you guys. The tier after the buff, holy, it's so good. This is single target, 5-minute patchwork, normal stuff. Yeah, but this tier is cranking now that it's affected by Mastery and Shiv. It's really good. So that's why we play around it, because you want to get this up, and you'll see the sim is very efficient. 58 Envenoms, and 54 of them are during Envenom, right? So it just goes to show you how important pooling is, because sim's real good at it. it just does it. Oh boy. Kingsbane also cranking really hard, right? Optimizing Kingsbane, putting it in Shadow Dance, really good stuff. Vicious Brand here, this is the Trinket, the Signet Brand. It does damage to you, so be aware of that. Rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. Most of this damage on your generators is Vicious Venoms, right? Because Vicious Venoms is really strong. It also scales with Mastery. And then to the stats, right? Gear and stats. I want to show you guys this. So this is the optimized stat kind of gear set that we're using during testing on our best in slot, sim profiles. Mastery here, a winner, but not by much. Crit and haste, close second. Versatility and last, but this is actually much closer than it is in 10.1. So if you're looking for something that's close, your 10.1 gear do be perfectly fine. A lot of the versatility here is coming from your tier set, so good to go there. Versatility itself isn't actually a terrible stat. It's not the best, but it's not the worst, and these stats in general are really close together. Agility is still far and away the best thing, so you still want item level over everything. But the fact that versatility isn't a bad stat and assassination doesn't have a dead stat means that while you're gearing and getting your item level up, you don't have to focus too much on getting perfect stats as much as you just need item level, right? You just push the item level and worry about like min-maxing your stats later. But you don't have to feel bad if something drops like Verse Haste, right? If you get like a Verse Haste ring from a Mythic Plus and you're like, it's 20 item levels better, but it's Verse Haste. Throw it on. Throw it on. It's item level. Throw it on. Just pump item level. All the stats are fine. And as a teaser, the last thing I want to show you is that the blend in Dungeon Slice in Mythic Plus is also really good. These are the stats in Mythic Plus. You'll see we dropped some Mastery for some more crit. We dropped some haste to get a little bit more verse. So it's still crit, Mastery, haste, but these are all really close together. And we actually share share our stats for single target and for AoE, right? It's crit, it's Mastery, haste is good, verse is okay. It's a really nice blend. You can always push agility, always get item level. You don't have to feel bad about any items that you're getting. So that's what we're looking towards going into 10.2. Hopefully that answers all your questions. It's a long video, but a lot of info. Gotta make a long video. I hope it helped. If you have questions, put them down below. I am planning on doing a like an answering your questions type of video. So I'll pick some from the comments, answer them, go over them a little bit, explain the thought process. And I will see you guys either tonight, because I'm raiding tonight, or Friday testing, or the next video. Okay. Bye ya. Have a good one.